We go. Welcome to Coffee with Chris. I'm joined today by Michael Masurkevitch, actor, writer, screenplay, theater. He just recently got attacked by Santa in a movie that they were doing. Meditator, dungeon master, whichever you like.
I'm not a dungeon master. I'm the player. My DM.
Oh,
is
you're the
very
player.
good,
Sorry, not a
yeah.
dungeon master yet, but anybody listening, if you're looking to give him a whirl, he'll bring his own gear.
That is true. Yeah.
So, Michael, do you prefer Michael or Mike?
Let's go with Michael, but like it's pretty flexible. Mikey, back in grade school, I was Michael Masurkevitch. So yeah, I'm pretty flexible. I answer to a lot of things.
I was a big guy. They used to call me Speedy because I was slow. So I hear you.
Oh. Yeah, man, kids are so mean sometimes.
So, Michael, when we look at meditation and yoga, which you practice, is my understanding.
Oh, yeah.
And you're an active actor and writer and in that industry and scene, do you believe that there's parallels between meditation, yoga, and acting when it comes to, I'm going to say, mental health and preparing for auditions?
Chris, are you psychic? Like, how did you come up with this question? That's like me. Yeah. No. That's fantastic. Yeah. So oh man. So in the spirit of real and raw, I'll like get deep and dirty here. So like I had a kid when I was 17. I'd always wanted to be an actor. I then became a father and like got a bachelor's in something because I'm still privileged and lucky. But then like finally like quit and became an actor and didn't realize for the first 10 years of my life that I was a shitty parent and a shitty boyfriend and just like had a lot of things that I thought were normal that I didn't realize weren't. And then I broke up with a girl of a 6-year relationship who was an amazing woman that deserved better than me, but I thought I deserved better than her, and I didn't realize it was the other way around. And then I started briefly dating someone who got me into meditation and then broke up with me. And then finally, I was alone with a broken heart, but with meditation techniques as a struggling actor. And I started getting deep into my emotions. I started creating space and finding techniques to have a conversation with deeper and deeper and deeper parts of my psyche until I realized how much resentment I had against my baby mama and my son for having had a baby, and myself for having had a baby in high school that changed the course of my life, against this beautiful, innocent, wonderful child who is who is absolutely wonderful. And I was a horrible father for horrible by my standard, by the father I wanted to be. I was terrible because of these resentments that I then had to like go in and have conversations with and process until I could just cry it out and hit some punching bags and do some karate topless in the woods, rubbing snow on my body, until finally I had dealt with some of these things enough to be the father I want to be. And now when I want to get grounded into a scene, one thing I do is run through my chakras, but another thing I do is I think of my son and being a father and how much, and I know you get this as well, I think of how much I love my son, and immediately I am in that emotionally vulnerable place of love. And then I just go to that core of love that we all have inside of us and just build the layers over top of it of what the character loves and what the character has that is painful. And then I'm in character. So, and I can only do that, I mean, partially because of my son and everything that, that having a child and being in such a place to witness at that level of intimacy another beautiful human. Part of it is because of that, but part of it is because of the meditation and yoga techniques that I have learned that allow me to let go of the layers of Michael's to-do list and Michael's insecurities from today and Michael's guy that said something mean to me last night and Michael's this and Michael's that and Michael's worries and Michael's entitlements and arrogance and all of the things, and let them go until I can get to that core of beautifully painful love, and then build the character on top of that. So yeah, meditation has been huge for my parenting, my acting, like literally. And and my friends make fun of me because like sometimes a friend of mine will be like, hey Michael, like we've got a lead role for you if you help us, if you co-produce this film with me. I wrote it, I want to direct. I'm like, well, let me have a look at the script and let's make it better. And then like, yeah, let's talk. And often I get roped into these things and it's great. I love it. But like before, like they'll be like, okay, cameras are rolling. Michael, go through your chakras. And then, and then I'll be there and I'll be like, okay, like I just need a quick second here. And can I get into detail on the meditation thing?
Absolutely, you can. Yeah, I would encourage you to. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate this safe space you're allowing me to have here. But yeah, so meditation. There's so many techniques, and like one guru that I love just like listens to her air conditioner because it's a steady buzz, and as she listens to that, like it's just like it's like when you look far away, it actually relaxes your eyes because your eyes are like the lenses are relaxing to see farther away. It's like that. It's like you listen to a steady hum and then that focuses your brain just enough that a bunch of stuff lets go. She does that. Me, I love my chakras because it becomes an emotional internal monologue where you're here in your core and it's I am present, I am safe, I am worthy. Then you're in your stomach and it's I am grateful, I am open to my emotions. You're in your solar plex, it's I accept, I trust, I am powerful. You're in your heart and it's about love. You're in your throat and your ears and it's about hearing truth and speaking truth and creating truth. You're in your third eye in your head and it's about clarity and spaciousness. And then you're in your crown and it's about letting consciousness into your body. And then it's about the consciousness from above, the existence from below, and the love that ties them all together. So and I find that if I do that, it's like it's like the emotional, that thing of like there's a great moment in a VeggieTales movie where this caterpillar who's half a caterpillar and half a worm, Khalil, fucking great character, and he puts on his headphones. I have a question. As a white male, if I want to say the lines of a character in a movie who says them in an East Indian accent that I've practiced and think I'm good at, am I allowed to say that, or is that not okay? I guess I'll just say it without the accent.
You know what? I think when we're quoting and it's not super out there, I guess is the way that I'll put it. I mean, yeah, let's see what happens. Go ahead, go for it. I'd love to hear it.
I mean, just for the record, I in my high school I was a member of what we called the KCI Multicultural Club, which was just like me, a guy from Dubai, a guy from Pakistan, a guy from India, a guy from Sri Lanka, and a girl from Asia. And so they encouraged my accent giving. So like, yeah, I think this is okay. But yeah, so this amazing character like puts on his headphones. He's just like, 1 second, I need to listen to my motivational therapy. And then he puts on his headphones and you hear the voice say, I am a successful entrepreneur. And he goes, I am a successful entrepreneur. And it's just so good. And it's so good. But what chakras are is like, chakras are like those motivational words, but on steroids, because you're linking them to parts of your body and corresponding color visualization. So it's like words of affirmation on steroids. So for me, like a big, like before every take, I will just do a quick run through my chakras, which is me telling myself, my inner child and my inner being and all of my insecurities and pain and and even as a privileged white male, who's very arrogant and confident and douchey, I still have all of those things. I still have vulnerabilities and pain and insecurities coming out my fucking ass. And going through my chakras tells all of those parts of me, hey, we're safe. We're here. I'm open to you. Let's create together. I accept you. I trust you. I love you. Let's create together. And if I just quickly run through those and actually like get to my emotions, or as mentioned, think of my son, boom, I'm in the scene. So yeah, so meditation has been huge for that. And yoga is just like, it's like if you want to work out and also have that mental and emotional space for yourself at the same time, yoga's like that 2-for-1 deal. Yoga's like, yeah, let's work out and also be into my emotions and body and consciousness. Boom. That's what yoga's for. And it's great.
It's incredibly beautiful. I mean, there's so much there, from topless karate in the woods and rubbing snow to the pain and the privilege that you've had. And I don't know how to really express it. It's very warming and heartfelt in the sense of that, it's kind of, right? There's so many people out there who are in positions and, I believe I'm here. And then you get to someone like yourself who says, no, I understand. I get it. And when you look at you had a child when you were so young, and you look at how beautiful this has been and how you wanted to be a better father, but you yourself weren't really able at that time. And now we are in different positions. And I really like how you said we're clearing our head with our chakras. We're getting in tune with ourselves. We're breathing. We're taking a moment. We're taking a beat, and being in the moment and being allowed to create. It was just that. Thank you for that. I mean, that was very raw and emotional. And I'm sitting here with my mic off, sometimes going like, "Oh crap!" And now here we are chugging some wine from open.
This is my water bottle.
Oh, okay.
Funny story. So I love drinking out of glass. I love the way it feels. I love the way it tastes. And, and I'm a little more careful now, but one time I was working with a new team who, we're now co-producing a feature, which is our second feature we're co-producing together. And, but, we were doing this little interview show called Canadian Love. So I'm in a car with Zach King, Lily Ponaturi, and Siobhan Masters Johnson. And I pull out this vodka bottle, because that's what I happen to have, filled with water. And I crack it open and I just chug some water because I'm thirsty. It's a long drive. And it looks like I'm chugging vodka. And they're like looking at me and looking at each other. And they're like, Michael, are you drinking while driving? And I just laugh because I was like, oh yeah, I'm drinking water, but like I'm drinking driving. Oh yeah, that's funny. And I just keep chugging water. And they're just like, this is not safe. We are not comfortable with this. Michael, you need to pull over. Can someone else drive? And I was like, what? What are you guys talking about? And they're like, you're smashing vodka on the 401 on the way to Toronto in heavy traffic. And I was like, I had to be like, oh, like, yeah, like here, sniff this. This is water. I like to drink out of glass. And they're like, oh, okay. Who is this guy? It was like my first time ever working on like a full day shoot that wasn't in Kitchener with this team. And like, they were like, we're going to die. So yeah, I've had some times, but I love drinking out of glass bottles. I love reusing and recycling. So just like, oh, my parents had some wine a week ago, and then I rinsed out this bottle. And
hey, nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're in this consumable society where if we can reuse and repurpose, why not? And we were taught that, right? Recycle, reuse, reduce. I think was the last one.
Totally. And it's funny because like I get made fun of for this. One time I had my university best friend and my high school best friend together in the same room, and and I was the common topic, so they just started roasting me. And they were just like, yeah, have you noticed that like he's always camping? Like, like one time he was like, oh, I need these ice cubes aren't coming out. So he started punching them with his knuckles until his knuckles were bleeding. One time, like, he always leaves like he like saves paper Tim Hortons cups to use for his drinks and then like leaves them places and actually gets them up later. And it's like, you're not always camping. We're in a city. We have showers. You don't have to rub snow on your body, asshole. And but I was raised by Eastern European parents their parents had been through the Cold War. Like, actually, I love my family history. So if you don't stop me, I'm about to dive into it.
No, go for it. Absolutely.
Okay. So, and I mean, again, privilege. Yes. White privilege, parents' house, basement privilege, male privilege. And I recently had an experience that showed me just how male privileged I am. And I've been researching and I've been reading, and I've been like, wow, like, okay, even just being a man in Western Canada, let alone being in Western Canada, even just being a man around here, like, wow, so much privilege, so much for me to unpack and let go of so that I can give to other people. But with that caveat, so my one grandfather was an officer in the Romanian army. He came from minor nobility. My one grandmother was like a little German girl whose uncle was roped into the Nazi thing, who, came from poverty, worked her way up from nothing, and was in a horribly abusive relationship where she was afraid for her life and was abused as a child. So, it's quite a dynamic. The other side of my family, my grandmother came from a rich German family in Poland who, as the Russians and Germans were coming in, like as when the Germans came into Poland, her family was like, well, this is pretty messed up, but like we can survive this because we're rich and German. And then when the Russians came into Poland, they were like, oh, okay, we are fucked. So they were like, taking the money they had and the coats on their backs, and like my 5-year-old grandma was carried through the icy river by her like grandmother because their father was dead and they were escaping. And my grandfather, yeah, it's a lot. I'm sorry for like trauma dumping here, but like we're getting real and raw.
Not at all. Not at all. Please continue.
Yeah. And my grandfather, he came from a line of like Russian hunter farmers who lived in the Ukraine, and like half Ukrainian, half Russian, who were like known for like, oh, you want deer? Go to Masurkevitch once every winter. He goes into the forest and he come back with a big deer. This was them. And then like the farmhouse, like farms, so like they're 5 miles down each way, but like the neighbors to one farm disappeared one night. The neighbors to the next farm disappeared one night. And then they were like, oh, okay, we're probably next. So they like tried to pack their shit and escape. And then like the KGB like came at them while they were like on their way out, and he got separated from his family. He still doesn't know where any of them ended up. Well, he does now because he's passed into the emotional, loving source force of the universe, but like he didn't, and I don't. And he got separated from his family with his little sister and like had to live off of frogs in the swamp on the run for years before finally getting captured and being separated from her as they were sent to prisoner of war camps. So so this like sort of this psyche of like whatever comes, we grit our teeth, we push past it, and we survive off of the wilderness, combined with like you don't waste food. Like he ate his cat when he was like young, like he lived off of frogs. When he was living in the prisoner of war camp, they were like, oh, you survived off the swamp? Well, there's no food here except rats, so maybe you should be the cook because you know how to live off of this stuff. So he became like the rat stew chef of his Russian prisoner of war camp because he had already lived off of frogs in the swamp, and his rat stew was a big hit because that's what they had. So all of this massive story to come around to the fact that I like, if I'm at a restaurant and someone doesn't finish their food and doesn't get a to-go bag, and I am so stuffed full of food, I will still be like, well, if you're not taking that home, bring it over here because wasting food is a social crime. And I think a lot of people have this to different degrees from, parents who or grandparents who lived in poverty or war. But like my grandmother would like make you eat the leftovers because she's like, I don't want leftovers. And then if there were leftovers, she would cook them into a soup. And the next time you go over, she's like, remember those leftovers you didn't make? I made it into a soup. Now eat this soup. I don't want leftovers. And if there were leftovers of the soup, she would make it into a sauce. And the next time you came over, there would be a little bit of sauce made of the soup that made of the, like, wasting food is like a crime. So like, if I have a wine bottle, it's now my water bottle. If friends come over for a shoot and they leave disposable Tim Hortons coffee cups,
Right.
I rinse them out and now I have travel mugs. Like I can't waste stuff. Like people make fun of me because they're like, hey, I had 3 French fries left over and I didn't want to throw them out because I know that hurts your feelings. And I'm like, yeah, how old are they? 2 weeks? Boom, bring them over. So like it's just very funny how these, these massive stories of our ancestors and the people in our lives lead to tiny decisions like, oh, we have to walk home this way. Why? Well, I poured my beer into a Tim Hortons mug into a Tim Hortons disposable coffee cup to drink on the way to the bar. And then I left it in a bush before we went in. But also, like,
I want to go
definitely
back for
good.
my bush beer.
Yeah, it's definitely good for at least 2 more bush beers. So like I need to walk past the bush so that I can get my Tim Hortons coffee cup back so that I can use it tomorrow for the same thing.
But you know what? It's I find with myself and with other people that I know that when you grew up in an Eastern European family or European household, that's what it was. And it was, oh, we have bread left over. Well, it becomes stuffing. And you have, very similar upbringing from a European household as well.
100%.
But a lot of people don't know, right? They've never lived through it, and our cell phones and mini computers are right there, and we've never had to live through that, so we don't know. And if you remember when the pandemic hit, I mean, all of a sudden everyone became a baker, right? You couldn't get flour, and flour was through the roof because everyone was watching YouTube videos on how to make bread. And all of a sudden we're in touch with our roots because of this horrible thing that happened.
I know. Well, and I was at the Kitchener-Waterloo Film Festival last night and the night before, and it was great. There were tons of fantastic pieces by people in our community, and one of them was like this psychologist. It was actually it was animated, and it was from a Toronto production where someone took excerpts of this, leading highbrow psychologist who's really upset about climate change and like cut it into a short film with animation to accompany it. And one of the most beautiful parts of this was his realization that, like, yes, in his mind, the world is going to shit and we're all going to die because of climate change. But when we run out of fossil fuels, it doesn't mean we all die. It means we start taking bicycles. When we run out of grocery store vegetables, it doesn't mean we all die. It means we help each other grow vegetables and every porch becomes a garden. Humanity has so much capacity for loving and supporting each other and being there for each other and creating with each other, that when shit gets really real or really bad, what you see is the best parts of us sometimes are what come out. So I think the pandemic, I'm not saying it was a good time, but I think there are many cases where people became better humans to each other because a lot of what we depended on for our fast-paced daily lives was gone. So we had to fall back on the deepest and most important part of us, which is each other.
Michael, I love that, by the way. I love that whole phrasing in that sentence and that answer. You're absolutely right. It allowed everyone to really check in with themselves, right? And I mean, we always hear the terrible, divorce rates run up, people selling their homes and all of these things, but they're getting in touch with them. And mental health and being healthy and positive needs to be a priority. You as a person need to be a priority. Yeah. I have time for one last question for you. I did talk to you about this earlier, but what makes Michael Masurkevitch smile?
Oh man. Acting and meditating have taught me to have a real eye for human beauty, for human emotional beauty, for the beauty of human emotions. So like when sometimes I'll come into a room and my kid will be like playing games with his friends online, and he'll be happy, and I'll just start crying. Or sometimes, a guy at a bar the other night yelled at me for something that I had done, which was a terrible thing that I had done, but I didn't mean it to be terrible, but it was terrible. And I'm learning why it was terrible, and I'm working on it. And he yelled at me, and I looked into his eyes as he was yelling horrible things at me. And I just saw the red in his eyes and the emotion in him. And I was deeply touched by the beauty of this man yelling at me. And I think there are so many moments in every bit of daily life where, if you really take time to look at the person across from you, even if they're yelling at you, or even if they're not paying attention to you, or even they're just laughing at a stupid joke, where if you take a moment to sit and look past all the little things and just see them, that it's so strikingly beautiful. So that's a big thing for me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that with us. Where can people learn more about you? Is there an Instagram handle, a website? Where can people go to learn more about Michael Masurkevitch, hire you for their films or projects coming up? Where can we find you?
Instagram is at actor.Michael, because Masurkevitch was too long, and also because I'm trying too hard. Hey, did you know that I'm an actor? It's in my Instagram name. But actor.Michael is my Instagram. Michael Masurkevitch is my Facebook. I'm pretty Facebook accessible. Like I have a lot of Facebook friends, because if somebody gives me a friend request and I can tell that they are a real human, and especially if they have an interest in film or photography or cameras or storytelling, I'll probably follow them. I'll probably add them back. And I've got a website, www.masurkevitch.com, where there's some stuff on that. I'm on IMDb. Actually, the best way to see, I think the realest parts of us are visible in what we bring to our arts. So if anyone wants to see the realest parts of me, that, I don't post pictures of my child, so you can't see that. But if anyone wants to if anyone wants to see the realest parts of me that are publicly available, check me out on IMDb. And if you search Michael Masurkevitch on IMDb, you'll see you'll see me on IMDb. So that's a big part of me. Yeah.
Michael, I really appreciate you being here with me today. I appreciate you as an actor and as a friend, of course. I look forward to working with you on projects in the future. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Smile to inspire. My guest today, Michael Masurkevitch. This has been Coffee with Chris. Thank you.
Chris, you're amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you, everyone who is watching this and supporting this amazing human telling human stories.
Thanks, Michael.